You're listening to Rivals of the East.
Welcome back to Rivals of the East, everybody. I'm your host, Buzz, with co-host Sean. Sean, we're getting geared up here for, what is it, week 9? Or week 8? I can't even remember anymore. Do you even know? I don't know.
I blacked out and, maybe I had a concussion. I want to forget the trauma that was last week.
Week 8, I'm sorry. It all blends together. But anyways, we got 2 big matchups here coming up for Dolphins and Patriots here in week 8. Of course, Dolphins are taking on the, not so tough Detroit Lions. And the Patriots are going to be taking on the New York Jets.
Red hot Jets, 5-2. A little bit better than the Patriots and the Dolphins. Didn't expect that, but all things considered.
Right. And interesting here with Sean, I want to ask you about the Patriots game since we just did our post-game show recently and wrapped up the amazing Bears-Patriots debacle that happened in Foxborough there. You know, obviously there's a lot going on with New England on the offense. There's a lot of question marks there, and we've got our own, but they talk about quarterback controversy. You know, Bailey, Zappi, Mac Jones. Mac Jones didn't look so hot in the Bears game, got benched. Zappi comes in, looked good for one drive, and then fizzled out pretty quick. You think Mac Jones is going to start this game on Sunday against the Jets?
He will. It's been announced, as you may know, between Florio or Ben Bolin, the Patriots mouthpieces, per se. He indirectly lets them know, actually, during Bill Belichick's last conference, when he said, I'll let you guys know, maybe tomorrow. It was correct. He used them to speak through it rather than saying it publicly. That's how Bill likes to work. In my belief, he wanted to tell the players before he let it out to the media. And it's disingenuous for him to sit there and say that was a planned rotation for that Bears game. That's not the case. I'm not buying that crap. I think he's trying to protect his quarterback's feelings by putting it out there in the media that was pre-planned. If it means lying, it means lying. Like, sometimes that's what you got to do. But I'd rather just say, let him die on that hill rather than do that in the first place. But that's besides the point.
So we're not going to get the Ryan Fitzpatrick to Tua Tagovailoa combo, you don't think, in New England?
No. And actually, I think that's kind of hilarious when I had a Patriots fan kind of bark back out at me saying, yeah, you got your own QB little controversy there. And I went, oh, kind of like your last 18 years. Your last 18 years. I was like, I don't know if you remember your star quarterback that you're sitting here touting as a dog. He's a dog coming out.
He got that dog in him.
He's got that dog in him. He's out there winning games, putting it all on the line. Yeah, like the Steelers. That exciting, high-scoring game.
A W was a W, Sean.
Yeah, a W is a W. Yeah, okay. But anyhow, I digress. Mac will be starting. He is the Patriots quarterback. I don't give a crap what Bill Belichick says. That is the case. They need to die on that hill. They need to roll with him until the wheels fall off. And guess what? I think the wheels are going to fall off.
You don't think Mac's going to be long-term, huh?
What did I say about this season? I went, this season will be predicated solely off Mac Jones' progression. We haven't seen a progression. He's had a little pause, mid because of the injury. So as soon as they started rolling out that playbook where you saw him slinging it out left and right, they went away from the under center, which I have been complaining about a whole season. They need to get back to playing run, play action, and then if you want to start throwing it downfield in must situations, you do it. But I feel like they're putting Mac Jones in a situation where it's hard for him to succeed because I just don't think they have the players for him to sit there and go shotgun under center with no threat of a run game because you're in a halfback draw situation at that point. They're not a RPO team. It's forcing him to throw downfield and the receivers to get open. I just don't think they have the players to do it, quite honestly. But
speaking of not having the players, though, I want to ask you because as you get into this game on Sunday with the Jets, Christian Barmore is going to be out. David
Correct.
Andrews ruled out at center.
Correct.
Two big players, and of course, Josh Uche is questionable. I know Isaiah Wynn is questionable. Kyle Duggar, as well as Nelson Aguilar, your boy. So
interesting connection there, actually. By the way, that David Andrews hit that he took on the helmet from Mike Pinnell on the side. I don't know. There could be a little controversy there. Maybe the Jets went, "Hey, my ex-player, take him out of the game."
I honestly thought when I saw that hit that David Andrews completely hurt his back, maybe his ankles, but
okay, just going down that road of controversy for me because Mike Pinnell, as you may know, was also a Patriot last year.
Right.
Kind of never really got into that starting role like we thought he was supposed to be. Actually, I want to say I think he initially was expected to be the Devon Goudshaw route. He was supposed to be that run stuffer. He never really panned out. Actually, he was injured quite often. I don't know. When I see David Andrews get hit and he picks up and he puts his hand on his head and he shook it, and I went, "Where have I seen this before?" At least I can actually look at a play and recognize he may have a concussion. Got his ear holes ring. Usually, when he hit players in the side of the head, you definitely get that tingling sensation. I'm one to know, trying to tackle people that are 6'4", 260 pounds, having no business going stand up with. Yeah, I felt that. But David Andrews, he's a lot bigger of a boy, but I feel for him, and it's going to be a loss. He's the signal caller on that offensive line,
right.
Not just because he's been actually mentoring Cole Strange a lot. You'll see him look to the side and help him with those double teams. Not Michael Onwenu because he's a physical specimen, and I think he's been able to hold his own. So this is going to be an interesting matchup against a Jets defense that is playing really good.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, too, because with Mac Jones getting back in this game as a starter, David Andrews, of course, out at center, it's going to put more pressure on Jones, I think, to extend plays, probably do more rollouts, maybe see what happens with this run game with Ramondre Stevenson.
If there's anything he's shown us, at least he can move his legs.
This is true. Well, Breece Hall, of course, for the Jets is out. Tore his, was it his ACL?
Yeah,
ACL tear,
I'm not sure.
Achilles? Something.
Actually, I believe it is his Achilles.
Yeah, so he's out. They got James Robinson from the Jags.
James Robinson came over from the Jags. He was a good player. He kind of got lost somewhere in that Saban mix-up over there, or whatever the hell you want to call that situation. He kind of took some shots on social media, so I look for him to try to make a breakout game because, he's playing for the money at this point. He's trying to see if they can extend him. Maybe he could slip in there and cut into some of that Breece Hall carries. As you know, they still have Michael Carter, who I do not sleep on. I think he's an excellent pass-catching running back. I think he's a really good elusive scat back that could take advantage of some Patriot faults in that linebacker crew.
So what are the keys to victory for Patriots? What do they have to do to win this game, Sean?
Keys to victory, it's been clear to me. The Patriots literally are that team where I saw last year. You don't turn over the ball. You take what you can in points. They need to be a conservative team. I don't think they need to be sitting there slinging it out of shotgun. I think they need to be conservative, run the ball. If it's 1 to 2 plays in a row, go play action, or open it up with a play action, and then just kind of, short game. They need to start out with the short game. They need to get the points they can early, and they need to hold on to that lead. And I think they just need to run it into the sunset in the second half.
Right.
So keys to the game: protect the ball, run the ball, pass short.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what the Jets do almost. Very conservative approach there. So, I mean, you're not seeing Zach Wilson it a bunch of times. Yeah. So
when you really see a team that goes into the third quarter with 99 passing yards and they still win the game, it's something to behold.
Now, what's your final score prediction?
Final score prediction, I'm going to go 17-21. I think the Jets upset the Patriots yet again.
Oh, it's a pretty good score prediction there. I'm gonna go and go the way of 28-24 Jets. I think Patriots will get another touchdown in the fourth. kind of bring it closer, but 28 points is a little too much for them to overcome there.
Yeah, I'm down on the whole, just the feeling in the locker room. I think a lot of players were upset with how the QB controversy was handled, and fairly so, honestly. Mac Jones, as many have said, is he's the hardest working player in the locker room,
Right.
and Damian Harris, some weird stuff going on there in social media, cutting off everything. As everyone knows, that's like that's been his friend since college. So there's a lot of weird things going on. You got the midst of Nelson Aguilar trade rumors. You got Isaiah Wynn trade rumors. He got benched last week. Damian Harris has been thrown out there in the mix. Kevin Bourne. There's a lot of stuff, and I think the next two games are going to make and break the Patriots season if they turn into a firehouse sale club.
It could very well be. Very well be. But moving on from Patriots Jets, the divisional game, obviously a big one. Jets right now the top wild card team in the AFC, as we all predicted. And now we talk about another potential wild card team, baby. Miami Dolphins are going to be taking on the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, and the Detroit Lions. Of course, Dan Campbell was the interim coach for a little bit after we fired Joseph Philbin way back when. That was a long time ago now at this point. But Dan Campbell,
like 5-6 years ago?
No, it was longer than that. But I want to ask you, Sean, just straight up, okay? Is Tua Tagovailoa elite?
No. Good. Sure. I think he's above average.
Are you doubting the charts? Are you doubting the charts?
I am absolutely doubting the charts. The charts, the misnomer, specific information, like I pointed out to Buzz, where they were saying Tua leads the league in average yards per attempt, and I went, he also has 150 versus Josh Allen's 260, and I'm like, that's almost 3.5 games worth of attempts difference. So yeah.
Not only that, but put it into perspective. I'm pretty sure that even then Josh Allen was only like point something behind him.
Yeah.
And with Patrick Mahomes. So I want to get this out of the way with everybody. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm not a Tua fan. If Tua's a good quarterback for the Dolphins and he's going to be the one that could take us to win a chip, I support him. If he's not, get him out. I really don't care. My allegiance is not to a player. It's to an organization. And quite frankly,
Tom that here in New England, I would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. I think people sometimes get caught up in this two-and-on cult, and they wind up getting to the point where they just try to cherry pick and nitpick. Yeah. And
lighting candles over here as I say my seance.
Listen, Tua the person seems like a really nice guy, really chill guy you could play golf with, you could hang out with. He just seems like a very down-to-earth, good person. I have nothing against Tua Tagovailoa, the guy. As a football player, he don't pass the eye test for me. I've given him multiple years. He gets injured all the time since he's come to the NFL. He's missed games. He's cost us a lot in that sense. When we've needed him most, he hasn't been there. And the fact you could say, well, you needed him most, that's why you didn't win games. Well, yeah, of course. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying
here's a question. When was he drafted?
He was drafted in the 2020 draft at the 5th overall pick.
So here we are heading from 2022 to 2023 with the same questions and the same concerns.
Who does it remind you of? Ryan Tannehill. So the real question comes down to Tua is very much so like Ryan Tannehill. What you see is what you get. There's no more that's going to improve. There's nothing else that's going to change. You'll have those very, very few games like the Ravens' fourth quarter. Just like Tannehill had the Raiders game in London where he threw for 400 yards. But you're not going to see those as the rule.
I honestly wish Dolphin fans could just look into the orb not that far long ago, where I remember, like it was yesterday, reading the same comments where I was hearing Ryan Tannehill had the wheels of a running back. And the passing competency of Drew Brees, and
I believe the phrase was
they burned the way out as he left.
I believe the phrase was, when you have a quarterback who runs like a running back, you got Ryan Tannehill. That's one of the phrases that I saw. So listen, and again, Ryan Tannehill, yes, he went to the AFC Championship game with the Titans. He's been in the playoffs every year. That's great. I'm not even saying that Ryan Tannehill's a terrible quarterback, okay? You could argue that this year, but I'm going off of history.
I think I actually put that more on Mike Vrabel. I think he's made more of average play to
Sure.
he's surrounded him with a good cast.
Here's the thing: is Ryan Tannehill had a lot of weapons taken away on the outside, AJ Brown and them. But I get that. But the point is, you will never, ever, ever win a championship with Ryan Tannehill. You will never, ever, ever win a championship with Tua Tagovailoa. I'm telling you right now.
I'm gonna sit there and say I was wrong.
But history will show you the outliers, like your Trent Dilfers, and guys like that, the outliers. Okay, those are not the rule; they're the exception. Most of the time, go back and look at the most winningest quarterbacks in Super Bowls. You've got Tom Brady, Joe Montana. You've got guys like Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning. You've got other ones like Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw. You can go down the list of all these guys. Troy Aikman. And Troy Aikman wasn't – here's the thing. Yeah. You can list it some of these. Steve Young as well. I want to throw that name in there. Respect to Steve Young. But you look at this list. If you look at this list, there are – some of these quarterbacks are like Trent Dilfer. They had a run game. They had the best defense possibly in NFL history.
Joe Flacco.
They had all the things around them that were going perfect. If you have a scenario like that where you can win a championship, yeah, absolutely. But that's not sustainable. Obviously, did the Ravens repeat? No. In fact, they didn't get to another Super Bowl and win one until over a decade later.
How about Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford, yeah, he goes to the Rams, and then he wins the Super Bowl, and now he's fallen off a cliff. So what I'm trying to say is that what people as Miami Dolphin fans have to understand about me and about other Dolphin fans that feel similar is that I want the Dolphins to win. Yes, Tua is 4-0 this year when he finishes games. He's 4-1 as a starter, okay? Because he lost in the Bengals game because he started. But let's take the Ravens' fourth quarter out of the equation, which is an outlier, and let's look at the consistency level that we get from Tua. What are we getting? Just what are we getting?
4 points.
4 points on average per quarter. Is that enough to win a championship? No. Did the 49ers win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? They almost did, but they didn't. Who won that Super Bowl?
In fact, I'd say he's probably had the most unfortunate situation where he's playing against some of the greatest teams.
Yes. Now, do I think the Dolphins will beat the Lions? Of course. I do think the Dolphins will beat the Lions. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like some people think.
I think it's going to highlight some of the issues Detroit has that I think we've all acknowledged. The defense is really just that bad, honestly.
It is.
Bailey Zappi light them up. It's that bad.
And listen, we've got questionable guys. Emmanuel Ogba's questionable for Sunday. Durham Smythe is questionable at tight end. Xavier Howard is questionable as well. I guess he has herpes. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on with his offensive line. We're trying to keep players healthy. Brandon Jones, if you haven't figured it out, he already tore his ACL. He's out for the year at free safety. So in comes Eric Rowe. And it was, Brandon Jones might be back next year. I have to look at his contract again. But, he's a situational player, and he's very good at those situations. Obviously, in the very first game of the year, he had that big play on Mac Jones, forced the fumble that Melvin Ingram scooped up for the touchdown there. But I don't want people to get it twisted. But you're going to have to come down to reality at some point that we're going to be in cap hell within the next 2 years. We're going to start already asking Tyreek Hill to restructure his contract. Tua's going to want to get his money and get paid. Now, what do you pay Tua? Would you pay Tua $40 million a year? No. The Niners didn't even want to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $34. They're like, way too much.
As my headphone falls out of my ear. Here's my question with that situation. Would them spending that money on another guy that obviously if they're available, they're probably having some question marks. Would that be the same kind of situation though. Let's say they pay 40 million to, one of those tweener quarterbacks where we're not sure if they're good, they're bad, or does it come down to drafting again where you save money? But you're resetting the clock. You're sitting there going, I paid all this money for Tyreek Hill. I paid all this money for a left tackle. Is it worth resetting the button? And honestly, Buzz, and I think that is why they're going to re-sign him, is because they're in a situation where they over-invested in some players that the question marks may be too much for them to sit there and go, I have to do this again with another quarterback that we're already unsure of, or just draft one, which is, I don't even think a question.
It's the Ryan Tannehill situation again. And here's where my problem is. Yeah, I don't think Tua is a bad quarterback. In fact, if you were to say he was a backup quarterback, I'd say he's the best backup quarterback in the NFL. But when you look at the starting 32 quarterbacks that are out there, okay, I just don't have faith in him being one of those guys. That's the reality of the NFL. I don't have faith in him being one of those guys that's going to carry a team in a bad situation. I mean, he scored 0 points against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. He almost threw 4 interceptions. He threw a terrible pass in the Bengals game before he got knocked out and concussed into double coverage. He does a bad job of free reads. I watched the film breakdown from the Steelers game. He does very well against zone. He doesn't do very good against man. He has a hard time ball placement wise when it's tight man coverage, and that's not good. Can he get better? He could get better. It's year 3. Will he get better? Probably not. We're close to seeing a ceiling already with flashes of a game like a fourth quarter in the Ravens once every 4 years, like we have with Ryan Tannehill. The reality is, if you're comfortable with that and you think that that's going to be good enough, that's fine. Then you're probably going to be a Tua stan. But if you're a Miami Dolphin fan and you're sitting there thinking, like, would this guy be the guy to lead us to a championship? Listen, Dan Marino, I know, didn't win a championship for us, but at least we got to a Super Bowl with him, right? That has a lot to do with the way that the team was built. They just decided we'll roll with Dan Marino. Different era as well. In today's era, though, if you put Dan Marino on a team, they're winning like 6 Super Bowls.
I'm willing to even sit there and say who was his competitor in the AFC East? Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, Dan Marino.
No,
Dan
back
Marino.
in Dan Marino's day. I think if you put
Jim
Drew
Kelly.
Bledsoe into some of those games, like on these teams this time,
Jim Kelly too, man.
I'll
give
what
credit
he
where
does.
it's due.
Strong arm. He slung it. He kind of took gambles sometimes, and he was ahead of the offense because that was before the playmaking was really like, Dan Marino. He had an excellent cast of running back, and the defense did its job. Drew Bledsoe, he kind of made plays when they weren't there, and he had a really, really poor run game. So,
and I just look at it though, and I think, like I said, Tua will throw his 250 yards this game and get his 1 touchdown, maybe a pick. Which, by the way, I just want to point this out there. If Tua continues on the trajectory that he's on, Sean, we talked about this. I believe the stat line was he's going to finish the year, if he finishes the rest of the games, 3,888 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, 10 picks.
That sound familiar?
Yeah, I think it sounds almost exactly what we said was going to happen.
Yeah, I believe
almost exactly.
I think, what is it? What did you say yardage?
I said 3,750.
I think I said 3,800. In fact, I said 13 picks, and I believe I said, 28 touchdowns?
Correct. So we're off.
28.
We'd be off by a couple there. But I just want to ask everybody, would that win you enough? Would that do the job?
You know what similar numbers that actually is to last year?
Who?
Matt Jones threw for 3,500 and 24 touchdowns.
Well, how about that, Sean? Well, my final score prediction, Miami's going to beat the befuddled Detroit Lions. They're going to win probably, I'm going to say 28-17. I think they'll win by 11 points just because the Lions defense is that bad. And I think Miami's actually going to get a good run game going this time around. That's my prediction. What's your
24-17. Turnovers in the second half, I think, just make the game unreachable for the Lions.
I'm going to
They
say
helplessly turn it over, maybe overextending it on 7 fourth down attempts this week.
a new record. Hey, listen, I'm going to say this. If they give Jared Goff too much time, it'll be a lot closer.
And Jared Goff, if he has time, he will pick you apart. But as we saw in the Patriots game, if you have relentless pressure on him, he is going to throw it up there, hoping something catches that isn't out there.
Like
He'll be seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold back in the day.
Yeah. Like that Tua pass to Tyreek Hill on Sunday night where he didn't even look at him. He just chucked the ball that way. It was almost picked. Goodness gracious. Come on, Tua. Don't do that this week. It'll get picked off. Anyways, that's going to be our wrap up for us today, everybody. We got big games coming up week 8. Patriots-Jets divisional game. Hopefully a bounce back game for the Patriots. According to Sean, I just love to see both teams tie and fall into the abyss. And
bounce back.
And then the Dolphins play the befuddled Lions, the Detroit Loins, and Dan Campbell. So we'll see what happens. We'll do our post-game show wrap up after this week as well. But if you like what you hear, give us a shout, write a comment, give us a rating, share, clicks, all that good stuff. We're on Instagram. We are on YouTube where podcasts are available there. So everybody, we'll see you on post-game. Take care.
Yeah.